another useful one. So if you want to see what Richard was doing, thinking about around hex launch time, you can use identifiers since and until, and you can set dates for them. And you can say from Richard Hart when. So that's pretty cool, right? Now we can go through, don't have to go through a bunch of crap and look at it. We can just see what he was talking about, kind of get that eerie feeling. Are we close? Can we make conspiracy theories from this? All that good stuff. So there's other identifiers as well. You can use keywords and you can search for multiple things. And it doesn't have to be this one phrase, which is, I think the default is just like, look for this phrase. If you don't find it, then show me the chicken or something that says couldn't find it. Why am I thinking of Ducks and Greg and our friend Somi and Fluffy Slippers? I watched a couple of those videos today. And hilarious guy. Shout out to your friend Somi. Hilarious. So anyways, this one in particular, I'm going to go through because it's sorting by the latest. And so I'm just going to scroll down. Maybe there's a way to make it descending only, but I'm not going to mess with that. I'm just going to scroll down a little bit because he really didn't start talking about this until end of January anyways. So yeah, this was a big one. I remember on this, he was talking about the stages. Everyone's like, oh, the stages of Erigon. What are the stages? So I'm not going to go through the stages of Erigon. Search for, you can watch the other devs playing videos. Also search for Gamma DevOps. He does a bunch of stuff around this dev splitting as well. But let's go back to, this is a good, January 18th. So testnet v3 is coming. There are 4 clients. So GoPulse, which is Geth, which is, I guess, are we calling it GPLS now? Maybe something like that. The repo eventually will be. So Geth, Prism, Erigon, a Lighthouse. Here is the Beacon Explorer, and I did some research on this before. I think that is forked from the blockchain.info Explorer. I forget which one it is, but that Beacon Explorer, pretty slick, pretty nice, forked from there. So the main things, the things that keep causing all these delays for the past 2 months, let's say, the delays were, we forked ETH. And then besides all the fixing up the numbers for the supply, besides the AMM bot, and besides the, Block Explorer and all this stuff, getting the clients to just sync and work and the forked code, just getting it all working. That's what we've been going through. And the biggest client, they kept failing and having these bugs. And maybe your PulseChain developers are working with the Erigon developers. Maybe there's some bug fixes there too. Erigon is the client that we've seemed to have, at least from Richard's tweets, the hardest time syncing. So, and then we go through different stages, which is just blockchain metadata. And then we do stage 9. And then basically, let's see, since January 25th, wow, what did it take? It took like a month or so to finally get Erigon to properly sync things. And it probably should take 2 or 3 weeks if we didn't have any bugs. So, that was what, a couple, pure speculation, obviously, but maybe that was like a 2 or 3 week delay figuring out the bugs. Why isn't it syncing? Then we don't know how many different nodes and validators that Richard's going to produce. And then, you got to sync them across each one. I know we have some beefy hardware because I don't know which one. One of them had like a terabyte of RAM. I don't know which one it was. But again, you're talking about EBS snapshots. So that's just snapshots of the hard disk. So it's another AWS cloud term, EBS. So let's see, just scrolling through. If you have questions, throw up in the chat, by the way. I'm just kind of riffing on each one as we get closer and closer to the current date. So again, GoPulse, which is a Geth fork, Prism, Lighthouse, and Erigon. And then most of it, yeah, again, it's about syncing the stages, syncing the metadata, syncing the blockchain, getting them to work, snapshotted. So let's see. See, when he says snapshot, I'm not sure exactly if he's saying the snapshot all the way to the breaking block. Okay, because there's 2 different uses of snapshot here. So snapshot with the EBS and the hard disk volume means take a point in time dump, or take take a copy, make a copy of where we are in the process, which is really smart to do, because if you're syncing a blockchain, everything is going well, or you're syncing anything else, you don't want to lose track of the process or lose. You want to be able to revert if something happens, or otherwise you want to take snapshots of that. So sounds like he's taking or using snapshot two different ways. One, talking about the blockchain data, getting that synced up to a certain snapshot or a certain time period. And then the other one is the actual disk. Maybe sorry about that. Maybe it's not. Again, I'm reading the words and trying to extrapolate the meaning based on the limited number of characters here. So February 18th, testing goes very well. So private testnet. So he first mentioned private testnet v3, which I think I imagine he was just on Twitter and it's like, everyone keeps asking, is there a private v3? And it's like, again, I explained earlier, of course there is. A private testnet is anything that's not public. So I think he first started using the term here. He capitalized it to make sure there's no confusion. Nobody makes a bunch of tweets and saying it's going to launch in hours, stuff like that. And then, yeah, it's just been Erigon problems. It's been, let's see, worry about rolled back version of Erigon. Yeah, trying to figure out the right version with different open source software. You have different branches a lot of times. So there may be a main branch where, or main or master, it's another thing it's called, where all the stable bug fixes are. This is a stable branch where, most of the people are using it. It's been tested. It's been vetted already. And then maybe there's beta branches. There's just other fixed branches that need more testing before they get merged into the master branch. So he's talking about here, Erigon version. Devs are working on a rollback Erigon version. So it sounds like they tried to use the latest or something, or whatever version they were using, and then rolled it back to see if that worked, or testing a new version. Let's see. What else? Yeah, mostly just stages. I'm going to scroll up here, keep us moving along because I got 15 more minutes. Again, drop your questions in there and I will get to them. Yeah, I'll go through this for a minute and then save the last few minutes for questions. Mainnet panic due to a peer being added to. Yeah, I feel like he's just the devs. He probably gets daily updates from the devs of like, what happened yesterday, what are you working on today? It's a common thing in software development. And he's just taking stuff off of the list, that the status updates from the devs, and either copy and pasting or putting in his own words onto Twitter, which is, I love it. I think it's awesome. I definitely love to have the data rather than not. So yeah, nothing super interesting there. Just still trying to sync the blockchain. I guess this is times that it takes for each of those stages. Well, stage 7, 30 hours. Yeah, that's actually good information. Some of these tweets I haven't seen before either, because he'll make a tweet and then he'll make it like 4 or 5 long in a thread, and I've already not looked at it anymore. So pretty interesting. A panic, by the way, is there's a lot of different ways it can manifest itself in software, but a panic, generally speaking, I believe what he's talking about here is, especially in Golang, like that's a common word, panic. So it's just a crash. A panic is a crash. A segmentation fault is a crash in some of the other languages, C, C++. So he's just talking about the crash could have happened any moment given during the runtime. So yeah, EBS keeps snapshot. He uses different contexts. It's here, building an EBS snapshot. Okay. So what he's saying here, this server is part of building an EBS snapshot. So it sounds like what they're doing is, once they have everything synced and ready to go, they're going to take a copy, kind of like a virtual machine copy, like you can clone a virtual machine, take a snapshot of that, spin up as many nodes and validators as you want, and then load that snapshot where everything is synced, ready to rock and roll, into all the servers that you want to run, all the validators you want to run, for example, all the nodes, whatever it is that that the servers are doing. And then from there, they can just sync the rest, whether the snapshot's 10 days old, then they just need to sync the other 10 days. But you've already got a working testing version of it. So that's what they're doing here. This is actually really interesting because again, I haven't read every single tweet Richard did on this, and now I'm getting like a more clear picture too as I go through it. Yeah, 1 terabyte of RAM, amazing. Which is important for the performance of Erigon's key store value. Yeah, so more memory you have, the faster operations you can do. Essentially, that you want a lot of the operations that you want to do as many as you can in memory because it's fast, but you have less of it than you would a hard disk, for example. Even though SSDs are super fast, in memory stuff is always faster than a hard disk. It's just how it works. So we're getting caught up here. We're getting closer. See, y'all might think that you don't have to understand all this stuff. Should I say it in RH's accent? Which accent? Which one? But if you want to be a validator, you're going to be running similar code. The good news is sync it's way harder to sync than you enjoy. Okay. Cool. Everything's fine. No, so this is when he starts saying, okay, the code is done. So I like that. Code is done. We know at March 6th, based on what we've heard him say, code is done. We're just syncing. We're just indexing at this point. Ooh, okay. Yeah. Open source software. Open source software is great, by the way. Like a lot of companies in the world, especially in big tech, depending on the license and stuff, there's different open source licenses, but they all use this stuff because why would you want to reinvent the wheel? Why not use open source stuff? Then the companies can contribute back to the code base if they want. It's funny that Microsoft is running Linux for all their cloud stuff in the 2020s versus in the 2010s, 2000s. It was like die Linux, bad. It's kind of amazing. There's a Linux subsystem in latest versions of Windows where it feels almost seamless. So Microsoft did a 180 on their stance on supporting Linux stuff, but it's smart too. Smart. They bought GitHub, made a lot of smart moves. So March 7th, bug fix, Pulse still singing the latest version. Yeah, we're still doing stage 8s. We're still doing all this stuff. Restarting Prism. So this is, yeah, I remember this. So Prism, Lighthouse, 2 of the other clients for PulseChain seem to be hit and miss with regards to peering. Okay, so interesting. Sometimes we'll start and quickly peer. So peer as in talk to other validators and nodes, but sometimes they reject a established connection with peers, failing handshake or get rejected goodbye message for the reason. Yeah, so this is the only problems I've heard of with the other clients other than Erigon. So Erigon, the problems were they keep running into bugs. They keep it from syncing completely. The problems with Prism Lighthouse were peering issues, which means it sounds like they didn't have any problem syncing, but they were having a problem communicating on the broader network with other nodes and stuff. So let's see. This is actually fun for me to reading all these because, again, I haven't seen them all. Insane amount of work, PulseChain, PulseX, Bridge, Erigon, Geth, Lighthouse, Prism, Block Scout. So yeah, so you got Block Explorers, you got Terraform. So Terraform, I talked about this before in the displaying videos, but it is basically infrastructure as code. It is a config file essentially, or a language, a code, I guess you could call it, that says how to deploy infrastructure, what to set up, how many servers, how big a hard disk space, how much memory. And the reason you want to do Terraform templates or Terraform modules, I forget exactly. There's a bunch of different ways you can call them, but it makes infrastructure much easier to set up, much easier, and you don't have to, do it from scratch each time, either using the AWS command line or using the web portal. You can just say, here's the template, here's all the infrastructure stuff. Go run this, and it'll spin up all the stuff, and then it just makes things much easier for deployment. So all that's deployment stuff. Beacon Explorer. So yeah, all the Beacon Explorers, all the Block Explorers, all the blockchain indexing, metadata, information stuff. PulseX, PulseChain, stats reporting websites. So that could be some of the metrics for validators, whether it's, what are the different, I forget the different ones you can use, but there's a bunch of different stats and stuff internally for the validators you can use. And then it sounds like there's going to be some external ones too. So I don't know how much we know about those yet, but that could be interesting. Stack balance checker, we all know what that is. Creating to a fully functioning ecosystem is mind-blowing. Yeah, grateful to open source. Like I said, yeah, open source makes our life easier. There are bugs, but it's free. Pros and cons. Okay, I'm wrapping up here in 2 minutes, and I will blaze through questions, and I hope this was helpful. I know it was fast, but yeah, I don't have a whole lot of time today. Tomorrow is open mic, by the way. So come by 6:30 Eastern for open mic, and it's open mic. So we'll have 4 people on at a time. We'll rotate through people, and if you're in the community and you turn on your camera, if I don't know you, you can talk to us and ask us questions or clear the room on whatever you want to talk about. Just be nice. It should be good. March 11th. Cool. That's one with Erigon synced. Yeah, all this stuff. And then 13 hours ago, to be clear, testnet v3. I tweeted about this as well. Everyone who's like, oh, you know, what if we just go to mainnet? From a dev perspective, that is not a good idea. You want all the PulseChain projects to have time to test this stuff. You want Richard's dev team to see if anything breaks. You don't want this Band-Aid, you know, just grassroots. Oh, we'll just fix it if it breaks. We're okay with downtime. No, none of that stuff it's not Richard's brand. Richard is that does not help his glory. He's very mission driven, and fixing bugs on mainnet does not help his mission. I'm not gonna say it hurts it either, but it doesn't help it. So, anyways, we're caught up. I'm gonna look at questions now. Jesus, I had this. My bad. I should have hid that comment, but so you could see the screen better. 96 people. I hate to run, but I'm going to have to after I look at questions. So, question from Chris A. So you think highest to 6, the documentary will be out while V3 is public before mainnet? Can't wait for all that hype. Yeah. Ooh, I don't know. I went through this question a few different times. There's so many different. I know Richard knows the answer. I know he probably has this war whiteboard where he has all this stuff written on it. He's already got the plan for all this. I could see benefits in every way. I can make a case for the documentary launching now. I could just, assuming testnet's going to be here very soon within, I think we're looking at days and weeks. We're not looking at months anymore. Just my opinion. I don't get predictions very often, but that one seems like we're closer than we've ever been, right? I can make a case for documentary going now. I can make a case for the documentary going afterwards. I can make a case for the documentary waiting longer. I don't know, man. I want to see it though. I gotta say, I've seen all the trailers and it looks fantastic. Fantastic. You can invert your backgrounds to the bullets going up to the right. Not a bad idea. Thank you for that, Earthling. I never noticed that. I might have to do that. At least it's going up. It's going up to the left, but yeah, good idea. I'll have to remember that. Whenever someone asks for PLF, yeah, I know. More power to people who make price predictions. I don't like to be wrong, so I don't like to talk about stuff I'm not sure about. So making predictions, there's just not a lot of benefit to me in it. It's not your hype channel. This is your learn and have some fun channel, I guess. I think Ray Daddy is going to get into Hex. Well, I certainly hope so. We can use all the billionaires that have long-term investing mindsets that we can get. What's up, Vets? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Crypto Artie, good to see you again. Hope to see you in Miami, along with everyone else as well. If you're going to make it there, glorious days and making everyone enjoy it. Yeah, we seem to be in better spirits. Our community's better spirits when price go up. I think it was a welcome price go up this time. Kevin Bedane, when do you think mainnet? What price do you predict? Yeah, I don't make predictions. Mainnet, if we have days or weeks for testnet, I don't know. I think safe to say, again, I'm pretty conservative with my deals, but safe to say 2 or 3 months after testnet. Does anyone want to hear that? I don't know, but that's my don't get my hopes up estimate of. I think it's reasonable to have 2 or 3 months of testing on testnet before mainnet. There's still, I'm sure, a lot of stuff that needs to be prepared. Richard's probably just trying to get mainnet out the door right now, and then he's going to take some 60, 90 days to figure out the mainnet little details. Like I said, I think he's already figured out pretty much everything, but a lot can change 60, 90 days. Maybe market conditions, maybe, you know, opportunities here and there that he wants to make sure to take advantage of. We'll see. We shall see. Just going down. Yeah. I'm not buying PLS until prices stabilized at 0.1. So the SAC price is 3 zeros and a 1, I believe. One of those, 2 zeros or 3 zeros to a 1. So at that rate, you've already got a 10 or 100x. I think that's a stabilization, meaning what what the market will value it at after the volatility. That'd be cool. I'm cool with the 10x, 100x, 1000x, 10,000x. Let's get it. I'm curious about things so impossible to answer. Oh, not sure what you're referencing on that one, but maybe the other 0.1. I'm curious about ways to make more money before launch. Well, as I showed the hex before, we see that people who bought here and people that bought here, people that bought here and people that bought here, at least today, are up. So there's that.